everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is April if you're new here, and today I wanted to do a little bit of reacting to some Threads drama. Usually I try to stay away from drama period on the internet because who cares? It's just all everybody's opinion. But you know what? I'm feeling kind of feisty. And I just want to go through and see if there's anything that needs reacting to from me. I don't usually do disclaimers because I think as adults we all know that everyone has opinions. These are just mine. They probably will change at some point. I'm not very stuck in my ways, okay? I can be persuaded very easily. This one says unpopular opinion. Sometimes these are most of the time not an unpopular opinion, and I don't think this one is any different. It says romantasy books need to have actual fantasy elements and a plot. It can't just be fantasy creatures with lots of spice. I mean, I don't think this is an unpopular opinion, but I personally disagree. Fantasy romance and romantasy, same thing, by the way. In my world, these are the same thing, just different names. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. It can be from extremely high fantasy with lots of world building and lots of character development to just creatures in spicy times. Now, creatures can sometimes be like monster romance. So, however, monster romance is kind of under the umbrella of fantasy romance. Like fantasy romance to me is the parent category, and then you have all these little different subgenres underneath it. Even though fantasy romance itself is a subgenre. I mean, the layers, folks, the layers. But yeah, I just think fantasy romance is a very large and vague category, and it can have a lot of moving parts, and it doesn't need to be one specific thing to be fantasy romance. Honestly, I kind of love a fantasy romance with very little plot sometimes. Like when you've read a lot of these, you don't always need big world building. Like that's the whole reason why I love those Holly Renee books, because they don't have a lot of world building and I can read those in a day. I also think this is kind of a little bit of a gatekeeping comment, like, and I'm just not that person. Like if it's different for you, cool beans. I love this one too. It says, honestly, besties, no shade, but I don't get that. I'm so tired of insert trope here. It feels so overdone. Babe, just read something else. What do you mean? It's not overdone. You just keep reading that trope. Agree. Agree. The algorithm has latched onto you and you've been reading those, so it just keeps giving you what you want all the time. It's not overdone. That's just what you see in this day and age when our lives are almost governed by a damn algorithm. You gotta forcefully change that algorithm so that way you see something different, and that means actually putting effort into what you're searching. Trust me, I know. Another unpopular opinion one, reading goals take the fun out of reading. This one I kind of agree, but I also, for me, I kind of don't agree, because even when I make reading goals, they are not hard set limits. You know what I mean? Like I really don't put stock in it. It's really just an arbitrary number. Like every year I set my reading goal as 100 books. If I don't read it, okay. If I do read it, awesome. I don't change it. It just is 100 bucks because I'm like, whatever. Here's a number from my ass. Let's see if I can hit it. And if I don't, it's fine. I could totally see what this person is saying though, because I often think once you make something a job or something you have to do, I don't want to do it. Like I am that way totally with TBRs. Once I make my TBR and set it, and I'm like, this is the books that I'm gonna read, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the thing that I told myself to do, because I just don't want to do what you want, what people tell me to do. I don't know why I'm like that. I don't know why I'm like that, but I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Even when I set those limits myself. It's so dumb. Do romance novels have more spice in 2024, or has the internet and book talk just helped grow and normalize spice and romance and therefore brought more attention to them? Because I don't notice a difference. I just think I am seeing the books talked about more, and I love that for us. Totally agree with this. This kind of goes with what I say all the time and how the algorithm kind of governs what we see. Do romance books have more spice in 2024? No! There has always been spice in romance books, even back in the 70s. I also think it's another thing where maybe it has grown because authors can publish their own stories a lot easier than it has been in the past. You know what I mean? In the past, you could only get a book traditionally published and that kind of thing. But with the rise in self-publishing and indie publishing, obviously that genre and those authors have grown, and now you have way more choice. So even if, say, the entire romance genre or whatever, maybe 10% or 20%, you know, a lower number or whatever, is spicy books, when you're also adding in, you know, hundreds of thousands of new authors, that 20% is still the same, but it's a lot more too. So I do think it's grown, but at the same time, it's not like we've never had spicy books before. So everyone needs to calm down about spicy books. Everyone also needs to calm down about not spicy books too. Like, there's choice for everybody, and I think there is a place for every reader. You just gotta find your place, and sometimes the algorithm doesn't make it easy. Oh, this is about the very, very expensive edition of Addie LaRue that came out. I too was taken aback by the $3,450 edition of Addie LaRue until I realized each of the 26 copies are hand lettered. Are their hands still attached? The book is 450 pages long. Is this for carpal tunnel surgery? Listen, no way in hell 99% of us are buying this book. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's an extremely special edition, hand binded, leather bound, like hand lettered. Okay, every page is hand lettered for this book. There is insane craftsmanship in this book. It is a rare book find. Most of us aren't going to buy it. This is a deeply rare find collector's edition for the extremely wealthy. I think it has a place in this universe. I won't be buying it, but I think it's absolutely worth the price for the craftsmanship. I'll put a kind of the description of what this book actually is. But as you can see, like, a lot of time and effort went into this. You're talking, this probably took weeks, if not months, to complete. So I personally think it's worth the price tag.
Also, I don't know if you can see this, but it comes with a freaking ribbon. So clearly, I think it's worth it just for that.
I'm just not the customer. It ain't gonna be me. You know what I mean? You can love a book without making it your whole personality. But I agree with this. Like, it doesn't have to be your whole personality. But also, if it is, I mean, good for you. I've never liked anything that much. I get bored really quickly with one thing. Like, I cannot even have a tattoo because I just can't commit to that long term. There's nothing in this world that I care about that much. I don't even know how I made it 20 years now in my relationship. Somehow I was able to commit to that. But everything else, no, definitely wouldn't be my whole personality. This one is actually just the Spicy Book Club backpack that Books A Million put out. It's super rare, but it is on pre-order right now, I think, still. I think it's really cute. I'm not a pink person, so it's just not something I would buy. I haven't seen one of these, like, again, fandom backpacks. My sister has one that's Pokemon and she gets compliments on it all the time. The only one I've seen that I would even be interested in buying is the Godzilla one. Like, for some reason, I think that's cool as hell. But do I want to wear it every day? Again, I just have commitment issues. Ooh, this one's a hot take. Just because someone thinks a book is slow doesn't mean they just can't handle world building. Sometimes world building is genuinely boring. Frickin' men. Okay, I'm telling you right now, some authors a bit wordy. A bit wordy. I'm generally a very concise person in my writing, in my speaking. I don't like to go on for on and on and on. I get bored with my own self, okay? So when I'm seeing paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs about descriptions of the clouds and the mountains and the buildings and the dresses, I get bored, and that is when I kind of start skipping a little bit, especially if you're gonna give me a couple sentences about the dress and the rest of the damn paragraph is about the dress. That's a paragraph I'm gonna skip a little bit. I'm sorry, I am that person. I'm not a person that sees a wall of text and is like, nope, I'm not gonna read that. I'm not that person. But come on, how many sentences does it take? You know what I mean? Yeah. Overly descriptive writing is not always good writing. Sometimes it's just freaking boring. As an indie author, I'd like to say that readers don't judge books by their cover, but that would be a lie. Think of a cover as first impression. It might be the only attention your book ever receives if that impression is bad. Invest in your book. Get it professionally covered by someone who understands the genre. 100% agree. I read tons of books just based on their cover. I am a very visual person. I know we throw around the word aesthetic a lot. It doesn't necessarily have to be aesthetic, but it has to be visually pleasing. Something about that has to draw me in. And if it looks like you took 5 minutes making a cover, that's also the attention you're probably gonna get, or less. Like, I'm gonna tell you, covers are super important. I wish they were free for y'all. I really do. I wish they were really affordable, but unfortunately, work costs money. It's definitely something to think about investing in as an author. I really think it's super, super, super important. Will I read books with ugly covers too? Yes. Yes, I will. But often it's because I'm hearing about that book through word of mouth instead, and that is much slower. You know what I mean? Whereas if I'm scrolling and a pretty cover stops me in my tracks, then I will absolutely click another time to see what that book is about, and then I'll be interested. So I don't know, for me as a visual person, covers super important. This one is talking about prologues being important to the story, and that she's an author and she was told by a reader that I skip prologues since it's not a real chapter. Did somebody actually say that? I don't get it. People are weird, man. Are people seriously not researching the books they are reading? How do you not know what you're getting into when you read it? If I see a book that looks interesting, I look at the blurb, I look at the genre, and I look at the TW and CW. If I'm still uncertain, I ask people I talk to on here if they read it and liked it. I just don't get it. No, sometimes I literally will not read a synopsis or a blurb of the book. I literally just go into it, looking at the cover, maybe seeing what genres it's in, of course, because I'm a romance reader. I want to read a romance book. But I'm not gonna look at things like trigger warnings or content warnings. It's kind of an experience to just dip your toes into something sight unseen and see what your actual opinion is without being influenced by it in any way. This one cracks me up too. I'm gonna say something that book community isn't ready for. Y'all gotta stop fan casting Henry Cavill and everything. Let him go. Adam Driver too. Let them go. There are other actors. Dare I say diverse ones too. I don't find either of those people attractive. So I agree in some extent. Like, there are other actors out there, okay? We don't need Henry Cavill in literally every fantasy, okay? This one's just a question. What's the pettiest reason you DNF to book? Asking for a friend? I don't, oh man, I'm sure there's tons of petty things that I've DNF'd to book for. Probably the biggest one is just a book made me feel stupid within like 2 pages. If your book makes me feel dumb, I don't want to read it. I am that type of reader too that doesn't think critically when I'm reading. Like, reading for me is my self-care time. And at that point, brain wants to shut off mostly and just enjoy. Like, we're just going with the flow and the feelings in this, okay? I use my critical thinking skills for the rest of the day, okay? For the rest of the day, I'm using those skills. And by the end of the day, my brain is tired. My brain is tired. So if you make me think too much, I'm probably stopping your book. That's all I gotta say. Oh, this is kind of a hot take for me personally. I'm going to say this with my whole chest, and I'm not going to hold your hand when I say it. We do not need a rating system for books. You are responsible for researching a book before you purchase it. You are responsible for vetting books for your children. Google is free. Facebook reading groups where you can ask about books are a thing. If you're lazy, just say that. For the most part, I 100% agree about this. You need to take some responsibility in the books you yourself are reading and the books that your child is reading. If it matters to you, then be involved. Like, be involved, be a parent. Okay. However, I don't think personally a reading system of some kind would be a totally bad idea. I do think it would be a bad idea if it was government run. We definitely don't want that because the government doesn't understand the genre. But if, say, there was a communally accepted rating system among that genre or that community of people, I think it's fine.
This is where I didn't finish my thought on this, but what I mean by a rating system that would probably be okay is actually just more like how content warnings are, like more like guidelines, you know? Nobody's gonna get in trouble if you don't go by the rating system. It's just more like to give people more information about what they're reading in an easier way.
So I don't know, it's really conflicting. I think it's a nuanced conversation. Like for now, since we don't have a rating system, yes, be responsible, and we may not ever have one because there is no consensus on what that rating system should be. But I don't know. I just don't think the possibility of a rating system would be the worst idea ever. Controversial opinion. The price of an ebook should equal the price of the paperback less the production, shipping, and handling costs. Any publisher that charges as much or more for an ebook as a paperback is telling ebook readers that we don't matter. They're taking the piss. Okay. So I work in IT and y'all have no idea how much server costs are, how much software costs are. And also not just the upfront initial cost, but the maintenance of that. It goes up exponentially every year. If you're doing cloud storage, which Amazon's going to be using their own product, so they're probably using Amazon Web Services, it does actually cost a lot of money to run those things. So just because there is no packaging and costs and shipping costs, which, yeah, those costs are expensive, but they're not being, like, they don't just go away. They're being offset by a different cost. You know what I mean? And maybe it is less. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'm just going to say, like, just because you get something electronically doesn't mean it costs less. And also, if the author wants to put their hard-earned work of art up for the same price as a Kindle edition, as a paperback edition, it's still worth it. So I don't know. Like, just don't buy it if you don't think it's worth it. Do ratings and reviews play a big role in if you read a book? No. I don't look at ratings or reviews at all before I read a book, ever. I don't even read reviews. I write them. I say this all the time. I write them. I never read reviews. especially if your review is more than like 3 sentences. I ain't reading your dissertation on a freaking romance book where some girl's getting boinked by 5 dudes. Okay, I'm just not doing it. I often like 2-star books. I often hate 5-star books. I really think they are just extremely subjective. They're people's opinions. I don't want to know people's opinions before I read a book because sometimes if they have a very negative opinion, that is like a seed of doubt in my brain that I just cannot let go of. And now it has ruined my entire reading experience. So no, I don't check ratings or read reviews. Will I read a book that my friends have said is awesome? Sure. Like, sure. But it also has to be something that I'm interested in. Oh, Instagram is no longer a social media platform. It's a marketing platform. I agree. Especially if you're on Bookstagram, we are doing nothing but talking about our favorite books and getting other people to read them. We are marketing them, honey. We are doing nothing but selling. Also, all the freaking ads lately and the suggested posts, they're all ads for some kind of business. And I don't know about you, but it's exhausting being sold to all the time. So I get it. Do you guys consider audiobooks as reading? You must be new here. Do you have Kindle Unlimited maxed out all the time, or are you mentally stable? How rude. You know what? I'm maxed out and I'm mentally stable currently. I don't know about tomorrow. Definitely wasn't in the past. But I am mentally stable right now. And I also have all those 20 slots filled. I can't have holes, okay? Those holes need to be filled. How do we feel about people giving 1-star reviews on Goodreads for books they DNF'd? Do we think this is fair? Yes, sometimes it is. Sometimes the book is really freaking bad. This book not only deserves a 1-star book, it deserves to be burned. It's terrible. It's DNF it and give it a 1-star. Sorry, it's terrible. It deserves it. Not all the time, but definitely I'm not going to be rating a book I barely got 2 pages in, but sometimes I DNF a book quite into it. It's because it was just freaking bad. This is like so weird to me. And I've seen a few posts about this, but basically these are from authors reaching out to influencers and influencers charging not only for beta reading, but for leaving a review, like a Goodreads review, charging money for that. I think this is insane. If you're charging for that, it instantly makes you inauthentic and disingenuous, and I no longer trust your opinion on things. At all. You have been bought and paid for it, and I don't think that's cool. Like, I just personally don't agree with that. If you want to charge, go for it, but I personally won't be watching your content because now I just don't trust you. Especially if you do not disclose that it is paid content. If it is not a sponsored paid content. Now you're just a liar. I just don't like it. It's incredibly disingenuous. Like, you might as well just not even read it. It doesn't matter if you read it or not. Don't waste your time. Just completely lie. You're getting paid anyways. I don't know, it's a thing. I won't ever be charging for reviews. Nobody wants to pay me for my reviews anyways, and I'm not gonna read it. I'm sorry. Any review that you would charge for that would be worth any type of money, I'm not gonna read it anyways. I just think it's a weird thing that people want to do lately. I'm gonna give you a side eye on that one. I just am. I understand it took you time to read that, but it took us all time to read a freaking book, okay? And as an author, I would never pay somebody to do that. There are plenty of people out here doing that shit for free. You know what I mean? Like, we will just help you out because we want to. Like, don't pay for somebody to review your book, please. Please. And that's everything I want to react to today. Let me know if you like this video and you want more from it. My opinions can definitely change. But as of right now, this is what they are. Let me know how you feel on some of these items, and thank you for joining me today. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.